The old bell above the door of Leo's auto repair jangled like a loose timing chain, a sound he'd heard 10,000 times. It was never a good sound anymore. It usually meant another customer he'd have to disappoint, another bill he couldn't pay. The scent of oil and gasoline, once a perfume of purpose, now smelled like slow decay. He was wiping his hands on a rag that was more grease than cloth when he saw her. A little girl, no more than 7, was struggling to push a bright pink bicycle, with a twisted front wheel through his bay door. Her face was streaked with tears, her small shoulders shaking with sobs. "Mister," she hiccuped, her voice small against the grumble of a distant highway. "Can you fix it?" Leo sighed. He was an auto mechanic, not a bicycle doctor. He was 3 months behind on rent, and the stack of final notices on his cluttered desk was growing. Every minute spent on a kid's bike was a minute not spent trying to save his business. He was about to gently turn her away when he looked at her face again. It wasn't just a broken bike, it was a broken world. "Let's have a look, sweetheart," he said, his voice softer than he intended. He knelt on the concrete floor, his knees popping. It was a simple fix. The front wheel had come unseated from the fork. The chain was derailed. 5 minutes of work for him, a lifetime of joy for her. As he worked, he asked, "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered. "What happened?" "Emily. I was trying to jump the curb. Like the big kids." Leo smiled, a rare crack in his wary exterior. He snapped the wheel back into place, rerouted the chain, and gave the pedals a spin. The satisfying whir filled the quiet garage. "All set." He's standing up. Emily's face lit up like a sunrise. "Thank you. How much do I owe you?" She started digging into the pocket of her jeans, pulling out a handful of crumpled dollar bills and a few coins. It was probably her entire life savings. Leo's heart clenched. He looked at her hopeful face, then at the money in her grubby little hand. He thought of his own mountain of debt, a mountain this small change wouldn't even make a dent in. He closed her fingers over the money. "No charge, kiddo. Just be careful with those curbs. Okay?" Her eyes went wide with disbelief. She threw her arms around his legs in a tight hug. "Thank you, mister. You're the best mechanic in the whole world." And then she was gone, weaving shakily but triumphantly out of the bay and onto the sidewalk. Leo watched her go, a warmth spreading in his chest that, for a moment, felt better than any payment. He turned back to the silent, half-disassembled engine on his lift, the brief glow fading. The reality of his situation settled back over him, heavier than ever. What he didn't see was the woman who had been waiting in a sleek, idling car across the street. He didn't see her lower her phone, having just recorded the entire encounter. He didn't see the soft smile on her face as she drove away. The next morning, Leo arrived at the shop to find a small, curious crowd gathered outside. His first, panicked thought was eviction. But then a man spotted him and started clapping. Others joined in. "What's going on?" Leo asked, bewildered. "Your famous man," a teenager said, holding up his phone. On the screen was a video titled, "The Last Good Man in Millbrook." It was him, kneeling on the garage floor fixing the pink bike. The camera zoomed in on his tired, kind face as he handed it back. It captured him refusing the money and Emily's ecstatic hug. The post had been shared thousands of times overnight. The bell on his door didn't stop jangling all day. But this time, it was a different sound. It was the sound of people not just bringing him their cars, but bringing him baked goods, handshakes, and stories. "I saw what you did for that little girl," they'd say. "I want to give my business to someone like you." Later that afternoon, a woman walked in. Leo recognized her as Sarah Pendleton, a local real estate developer known for being tough as nails. His heart sank. She probably owned the building and was finally here to formally evict him. "Monsieur Kovac," she said, her voice crisp and professional. "Men's Pendleton." He nodded, bracing for the blow. "I know I'm behind. I'm trying." She held up a hand, a faint smile on her lips. "My niece, Emily. Couldn't stop talking about you last night. She told me you were a bike wizard." She paused, looking around the struggling shop. "I'm not here for the rent, Leo. I'm here because integrity is a rare commodity. I have a fleet of 6 company vans. Their maintenance contract is up for renewal. I'd like you to take it over." Leo felt the ground shift beneath his feet. The contract she was offering was more money than he'd made in the last 6 months combined. The story didn't end there. A local news crew showed up. A national parenting blog picked it up. A GoFundMe page started by anonymous donor, which he later discovered was organized by Sarah Pendleton, raised enough money for him to pay off his back rent and buy the new diagnostic computer he'd been desperately needing. In a matter of weeks, Leo's garage went from being on the brink of collapse to the busiest and most trusted auto shop in the county. He never saw Emily again, but her pink bike remained. A faded patch of color on his greasy floor where he'd knelt, a permanent reminder that sometimes the smallest, most forgotten gears can set a whole new world in motion. The transformation of Leo's garage wasn't just in the new paint or the state of the art equipment he could now afford. It was in the air, a renewed sense of purpose that hummed louder than any engine. He hired 2 young apprentices, not just for their skills, but for their character, teaching them that the tool in your hand is only as good as the heart behind it. One evening, as a stunning sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Leo stood in his now quiet shop. He looked at the clean floor where Emily's bike had been fixed, the spot now sacred ground to him. He realized the money, the new contracts, the fame, they weren't the real reward. They were simply the fuel. The real journey was what he chose to do with it. He made a decision. He started a small, simple program he called Wheels of Hope. For every paid repair, his shop would offer a free repair to a single parent, a struggling family, or a senior citizen in need. The pink bike had taught him that a vehicle wasn't just metal and rubber. It was independence, it was dignity, it was the ability to get to a job, to a grocery store, to a fresh start. The story of the mechanic and the little girl had come full circle, but it didn't end there. It never truly ends. Because kindness is not a single transaction, it is a chain reaction. That day, Leo didn't just fix a little girl's bike. He repaired her faith in people. And in doing so, he unlocked a truth we so often forget: our greatest value is not measured by what we have, but by what we are willing to give when we have almost nothing left to give. You have that same power. In your hands, in your choice, in your moment of decision. You can be the spark in someone's darkness, the gentle hand that straightens their wheel and sets them back on their path. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do not underestimate the world-altering power of a single, selfless act. Your pink bike moment is waiting. Go out and create it.